Imagine you build and scale a beverage company. And the beverage company becomes really popular with techies. It's never going to be mainstream big, but you're bringing in solid revenue. You get a little bored and you decide to yourself, hey, despite the fact that I've never programmed in my life, I want to start a tech podcast with my friend. So you do exactly that. And it's very successful, which is strange because you don't know anything about tech. But what happens after that is even stranger. A guy named Sam Altman calls you on the phone and says, I would like to buy your tech podcast for way more than it's worth. This is exactly what happened recently with a podcast called TBPN. And it may sound obscure, Silicon Valley, niche, but you're going to know the name soon. And it's part of a larger pattern I've been observing happening in tech spheres that is going to spiral out and affect the mainstream as these things typically do. Venture capitalists want to control the media. Venture capitalists want to control the media. They want to control all of it. And they're starting quite strategically. You may have missed this if you're not paying attention, if you're not in these circles, but that's why I'm breaking the story today. So you're aware of this pattern. You'll know how to spot it, hedge against it, and resist it. Because like I said, this is happening in a small pocket of the internet right now, a small pocket of culture, but it is about to go mainstream in the next couple of years. So I'll explain two examples as I typically do. I'll explain two examples, the in-depth on those, and we'll talk about that general pattern. The first example, we'll go back to our opener, TBPN. TBPN is hosted by two slicked hair, very business bro dude, finance dude looking guys that have never programmed in their life before, can't write a for loop, don't know the difference between Java and JavaScript, and they have one of the most known tech podcasts. I mean, VCs are very excited about this podcast. And I've been following it for a while. Obviously I'm interested. I'm interested in the tech news space. So I've been following them for a while as they've started to gain eminence. And I've noticed as I've watched the episodes, as I've seen the heads of all of these major and sometimes sensational companies come on, the VCs come on the show, they never ask hard questions. It seems almost like they send them off a question list ahead of time. Those are approved or denied by the guest's HR team, PR team, legal team. And then they go on the show with canned responses they take great pains to make these look ad hoc and off the cuff and like they're just another regular person just like you and I. But nothing could be further from the truth on this show. Despite the fact that the show has taken on more sponsors than pretty much any media I've seen in my lifetime, if you look at a still from it, it looks more like a coupon book than a podcast. They're in a tiny little window surrounded by hundreds and thousands of logos that companies like Ramp and Brex have paid for to have their small 1-inch by 1-inch ad space on the screen. Despite this, they're only bringing in about $5 million in revenue, which is very strange because when OpenAI made the overture to buy them, we're hearing good reports that put the deal in the hundreds of millions and specifically close to 150 million from a particularly trusted source that we have. We're hearing that about 75 million of that was in private options for OpenAI and 75 million was in cash compensation. No small deal for a business that's only generating $5 million in revenue. So this is a power play. When the numbers don't add up, there's a power play at hand. And the numbers certainly don't add up in this situation. I'll regale you with one more example. The other example I would like to tell you about comes from a company called Andreessen Horowitz. It's a venture capital firm. Okay, so they invest money in emergent startups, trying to get an outsized return on investment. They're trying to invest in the next Airbnb or the next OpenAI so that when those companies IPO, they make enough to justify all of the other reckless bets that they've had on startups that have failed. And most of them will fail quite spectacularly. They invest in most well-known private companies that you're aware of, and now a number of companies that have had their successful IPO. They are one of, if not the most successful venture capital firms in the world. and they're run by a bunch of sharp people. You may have seen one, Mark Andreessen, the gentleman with the shaved face and bald head that somewhat resembles an egg. That's him. That's the main player there. And the example I want to bring to mind is not a conspiracy. This is in writing. They don't want you to pick up on this too much. They want to get out ahead of it. Is a general media strategy, but it's bigger than that. They have decided that they are a media company, in fact. And you may start to see them on your social media. If you haven't already, you certainly will in the coming years. You certainly will. They're making a play to define a new media strategy. Okay. And this involves releasing podcast episodes 5 days a week. This is clearly written out. They have a Substack article on their official Substack that details their media strategy and what they're pushing for, at least publicly. But they are trying to grab media cycles. They are trying to become a media company because they know that in the coming years, a lot of user adoption, a lot of user acceptance, a lot of influence around what is normal and what is not normal in society will come from control of the media. People have been skeptical of the media ever since COVID, for very understandable reasons. It divided the country, and many falsehoods were told on national news. It led many people to distrust the mainstream media, and they've never quite recovered from that. So these venture capitalists, these rich and influential tech oligarchs have seen a window of opportunity to seize the media, to control it. The tech elite want to control the media. And media control will be one of the main powers in the next couple of years, with AI able to spoof everything. If you're able to put a real face out there with a real name and a real address, as I'm doing on my channel, and you have an opinion, a lens through which you see the world that people resonate with, that can be a rallying point. It can be a rallying point for all sorts of things. And what I've noticed on this channel in the past week or two is, while it started off being an AI bubble channel, I like to talk about the nasty things going on inside of corporations from somebody who's been in the room making a lot of those decisions. And through my lens as a PhD, I have a unique perspective there, and I like to share it with people, especially if it can help clear things up. But one of the strange things I've been seeing is the response to my most recent videos talking about the warehouse fires, and how the media coverage around these events can completely shape perceptions of what's going on and actions as a result of that. And so I want to talk about the connection between tech layoffs, between what the tech oligarchs are doing, and the warehouse fires, because it's directly connected. It's directly connected. So here's what happens. Larry Ellison laid off 30,000 employees from Oracle. And I'm using that as an example, but you can go back across the channel, look at all of the layoff news just in 2026, not to mention everything that happened post-COVID in terms of layoff. Here is the cycle, and TBPN won't cover this. They won't ask the hard questions about it. Andreessen Horowitz certainly will not ask these questions because they are depending on you to feel very positive about the future of tech, as is. But I will tell you the through line here. Oracle, we'll use them as an example, extrapolate this to any company. They lay off 30,000 employees. They post record profits over the last few quarters. And their leadership talks about how excited they are for AI to replace humans and to build more data centers to support the AI. They have no plan for what society should do with the 30,000 laid off workers. Are you starting to see? This is why the tech oligarchs want to control the media. So you have 30,000 displaced workers. And I realize before you get into the comments, a lot of these workers spread internationally, some American, many of them not. For the sake of argument, let's assume that all 30,000 laid off are American, just for the sake of simplicity of this example. You lay off 30,000 American workers, and they have to go somewhere. Oracle is not a top tier tech company, but it's up there. It's a household name, right? These are not nobody software engineers if we're just going to consider the software engineering talent. And they have to go somewhere. They have bills to pay. They're not rich enough to retire, many of them. Everything has gotten more expensive. This has happened exponentially with the situation, let's call it, in the Middle East. And there has to be somewhere to go. So where do they go? Well, Meta's laying off. All of the other top-tier household name tech companies are laying off. Where do you go? Who's hiring? Well, you can take your fancy resume with your nice Oracle experience and you could go to a tier 2 company. You can go to a company that is a little bit less on the technical cutting edge than Oracle, and you can apply there and you can get your job. Then there's layoffs at that tier 2 company. And the Oracle engineer is probably not going to get laid off. They have the experience, they have the pedigree, they've been engineering at a higher level. That's the cold hard truth. I'm sorry to say. There's exceptions to this rule, but that's the cold hard truth for most of these layoffs. So some employees get laid off, they have to go somewhere, they go to a tier 3 company. If tier 3 is the bottom tier, what happens when the layoffs occur there? You have a population of tech workers, again, let's call them software engineers, and they have to go somewhere, and there's no more tech jobs. They've exhausted all of the tech jobs, all of the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You can't swim upstream in this market. You can only swim down. And so they have to go somewhere. And where do they go? Well, they take something that's tech adjacent work. Maybe they get a job as a computer repair person or something that requires a little bit less pedigree than software engineering at scale with very expensive and exquisite systems. But then you don't need as many computer repair people. So what happens when the computer repair people are let go? And so on and so forth until you get down to the bottom rung of the ladder, which are minimum wage earners, which are always squeezed the most, and they are stepped on. We all suffer from this, but the lowest rung of the ladder is kicked off the ladder and then stepped on. They are stepped on. And that's exactly what's happening with all of the disenfranchised people that want to set warehouses on fire, that are posting social media videos of setting the warehouses on fire, that are doing crimes in these kind of acts of rebellion. And as we spoke about in the last video, the trend we've been observing is that this is not surprising. This is not surprising. I would defy any one of you who's had a bad dead-end job to say you didn't at least, even if it was a flight of fancy, a daydream, think at least once about burning down the business that you worked at that was crappy and low wage and you had the abusive, crappy boss. Everybody has thought about that at least once during their career, probably in a minimum, probably at one of these bottom rung jobs when you started off in high school. That's natural. What's not natural is acting on it. And I don't condone any acts of destruction or any acts of violence. I don't condone those, but it is understandable. And this is what happens when the tech oligarchs replace the highest echelons of workers. We want to think like, and I've seen division in the comments. I've noticed division when I've talked to people at events, that the plumbers and the tradespeople feel like they're not in the same boat with us, but we are all in the same boat. The only people not in this boat are the tech oligarchs, are the ultra wealthy. And we do well to not forget that. They are attempting to replace us with AI. They are having record profits. At Oracle, right after the layoffs, they onboarded a woman into the leadership whose pay package was nearly $25 million after they laid off 30,000 people. For $25 million for a woman who, obviously, like most of the leadership at these big companies, don't do anything. They don't do anything other than shake a few hands and make a few media appearances. For $25 million, instead of hiring her, how many of those workers could you have retained? Could you improve Oracle with that amount of money? But despite this, they continue to lay off. They continue to post record profits. The CEOs and the Epstein class skim more off the top every year. And this is in the numbers. I saw this personally when I was at American Express. Steve Squeri is one of the highest paid CEOs in America, the leader of American Express. Despite the fact that, and we have good sources on this, I still have very good sources at American Express, they're having tons of layoffs now. And the H-1B employees are typically not affected. Disproportionately affected are American citizens. American citizens are disproportionately affected. And I even received some of this guidance when I was still at American Express, that preference should be given to those on visa. We will have to create a new way of being and a new way of thinking to survive this and to thrive. And that new way of thinking and new way of being is broad, and it's also granular. It's quite nuanced. And that new way of being and new way of thinking will come from two sources, primarily. It will come from tradition and the social and employment contract, how we've always been operating, which is broken now, but that doesn't mean all of it should be done away with. And it will also come from the most radical thinkers over the years. One of the most radical thinkers over the years was, of course, Theodore Kaczynski. I exchanged letters with him when he was in the Florence Supermax prison, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe almost a decade ago at this point. And his work is intriguing, but it contains violent means, which again I don't condone. But I think his assessment of the problems was fairly straightforward, that technology is causing a lot of harm to our society. I think he was not on the mark for a lot of it, but we need to take what we can from the existing ways of doing things and the radical way of doing things to form a new way of thinking and a new way of being. Could we have a place that's not communist, but also not capitalist? Could we have a society where power is balanced by the people, but those people are still incentivized to work hard and go above and beyond to achieve whatever they want to achieve within reason? But remember this over the coming week. I want you to keep this in mind over the coming week as you're spending time on X, on YouTube, on all of these places. And think to yourself as you observe any tech media that's not mainstream in particular. We know that the mainstream media is bought and paid for by expensive interests. At this point, I think that's quite clear to everybody. But think about the independent, so-called independent media that you're watching. Think about TBPN. Go watch an episode. Make up your own mind for yourself what you think. Go watch an Andreessen Horowitz podcast and just notice. I want you to just notice and develop an awareness around when they have guests on the show. Do they ask tough questions, or do they toss them softballs? The tech elite want to control the media. Observe this week and let me know what you find. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll keep pulling this thread and following it wherever it goes. And as evidence of that, this channel started as an AI bubble channel. I believe it still is an AI bubble channel, but we will keep pulling the thread. Algorithm be damned.